Everyone, please rise to the pledge and remain standing for the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, pray for your presence in this meeting. We thank you for this beautiful evening. We thank you for the rain that we yesterday, the rain that might be on its way tomorrow. We just thank you for the nourishment that brings the crops and to the farmers and our gardeners and everybody else in the area that relies on those nutrients for their plants. We thank you for your wisdom and your guidance. Help us all, not just in this room, but in this community, stop making it about us and help us make it more about you. Help us to realize that what we do, the things we say, have effect on others. And help us to say the things and do the things that reflect your love, not our self-interest, but the love that you have for us. We pray for all this, and we thank you for each and every blessing that you poured out in this community. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Jan, if you would.
Brandon Elmore.
Present.
Bob Monday.
Here.
Jason Brewer.
Here.
Tim Heiss.
Here.
Chico Frias.
Here.
All right. Consent agenda. I trust you've had an opportunity to review it. Do you have any questions or comments? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I will move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right. We have no presenters, so I apologize. It feels like it's been a few blue moon. No, it's not. I guess maybe it's been that long, but I've got passing out something to you right now that is not on the docket for today, but will be on the docket for the next council meeting. And what I'm going to ask is that you take this home and review it. It's pretty elementary in its presentation. I mean, it's pretty simple, but what it is, it's an insight into the cost savings that can be achieved just on one side alone through collaboration with our Ohio counterparts from a fire, police, EMS perspective. Does not even go into the utilities and the administration and the other efficiencies that can be achieved and the cost savings. So, but when you get a chance, delve into that and know that it's going to be on the agenda for a full-blown presentation at the next meeting. So, other items of interest. Good news, we were awarded $99,000 from Rural Development for the Hub City building for the renovation that's going on there. We were awarded $10,000 to Vision Corner from the Ball Brothers Foundation. That's significant because they were really not delving outside of Delaware County. At least the last time we checked on them, that was the case. And we actually gave them a tour of Vision Corner and explained what was going on. And because the esports program with collaboration with Ball State and our school, our kids, and also the collaboration with K.I.S.S TV and Ball State's TCOM lab, I think there was certainly some vested interest there. So that was good stuff. I'm sorry, what's that? I'm sorry.
No, I just said that's really good.
Yeah, it was good stuff. So appreciate that. And along those lines, we've given quite a few tours here lately. One was to obviously the Ball Foundation, but also the East Central Indiana Regional Partnership, which is the group that selects the projects for Ready 2.0 and positions the projects for approval from IEDC. You know how they want to pitch Ready 2.0 and what they think should rise to the top. And so I've already received inside word that the two main projects for Randolph County for Ready 2.0 will be Vision Corner and then also the trails. So that's significant because it helped us get across the finish line and finally be done. Because the good Lord knows we've got enough other projects on our plate. And special thanks to J.D. Prescott. He's been very pivotal lately in pulling in folks from outside the area, including Indiana Economic Development Corporation, to tour Vision Corner, and it's been wonderful. So a lot of folks in the know on the project. want to give hats off to Eugene Thomason also and the crew and all of his gang, because I know he had several people helping him for the cruise in. It was ultra successful. And also the pool has been extremely busy, and the concessions have done extremely well. They've actually done better going the route they've gone so far than they would have if they charged for people to get in. Now, as I say that, I want to also voice my displeasure and my disappointment in some citizens. And in all fairness, they may not even be citizens of Union City. They could be outside folks that I'm not even aware of. But some of the people that voiced complaints, I guess, to Steve, and Steve doing his job would not even reveal who they were to me out of protection for them. But he fielded several complaints because of parking for the cruising. And it's a shame because we're not seeing the big picture. We had several hundred, if not 1,000, we had several hundred people come in from outside of Union City and spend their dollars here that they would not have spent otherwise that Saturday evening.
Right.
They had no other reason to be here outside the norm. I'm not saying they wouldn't come here to, to shop or eat, but with the antique cars or classic cars, they would not have come here.
Every kind of cars.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. Everything.
Yeah, everything was in. Yeah, exactly. And so it broke my heart because I know for a fact one of the complainers was in town because it was a business. And I'm thinking to myself, you missed a golden opportunity to partner with the car show and say, hey, hand these out to everybody that comes in. They're 5% off, or if you buy one, you get something to draw the people in and spend money that they wouldn't spend otherwise. That is a golden opportunity for revenue that was missed. And it's a shame. And so my hat's off again to Eugene and the crew that did that, because it was just wonderful. They did outstanding. Parking or navigating through town, which it just cracks me up because I travel so much. I drive nearly 1,000 miles a week, and to have to drive a block or two over and then to complain about that cracks me up when I have to drive miles in different directions because of country bridges that are closed or so forth. It just cracks me up. It's just, and that's for weeks at a time. This is for a few hours. Like, come on.
On a Saturday.
Yeah, on a Saturday evening, yeah. And so it breaks my heart. But again, I encourage people, if you saw value in the car show, great. Please extend your thanks to those that helped put it on. If you're frustrated with the parking, please extend grace and mercy. Because it's the same grace and mercy that you're going to need someday, I promise. And then with the pool, I've joked for a long time with my wife, if you gave everybody $1 million, and this is in every community, it's not just Union City. If you gave everybody $1 million in any community, someone would complain about something. Why do they get $1 million? I wanted it in 10s and 20s. Somebody would complain, and it's heartbreaking because they can't see the good that's right in front of them. They've got to see the negative, or they've got to find something to complain about. And it breaks my heart because the pool is free. And people are complaining that they can't get in as if that's the only day through the whole summer it's going to be free. It irks me. And I know how people are because I know my son has worked out the pool for a few years now as a lifeguard. And I remember when I took heat like something else, something clear, so did Steve, so did Monty, the year we closed because of COVID. We had no choice because we didn't have the lifeguards ready because we couldn't get them into training because there was no training because of COVID. And so we had no choice but to close, and we took tons of heat for that. And then by the time we did open the next year, and within a month or two, I remember one day Allie coming home and said, how many do you have out there? We only had 5 out there today. You had 5 people at the pool. I have a notion to get in the car and drive to the people's homes who complained about the pool being closed and say, where were you? The pool was open. And so it's frustrating. And I just encourage people to start to see things a little bit differently and with a little bit of grace and mercy and understand the benefit that's being provided by that pool being open and available to everybody. Come what may, all walks of life. It doesn't matter where you're from, who you are. You've got a chance to go swim and have some fun. And if it's full, that's a good thing. Come back another day. I promise you, you'll get in. Yes?
I've got one little piece of information that I've been source that told me that Winchester's pool on their opening day was completely full too.
Okay.
So it wasn't just that ours was
Yeah.
free. It wasn't like
Right.
Winchester's pool was empty because
Right.
because everybody came to, nobody drove to
That's
Union
good to
City to
see,
save
yeah.
$2.
Yeah.
And
That's
nobody's
a
gonna
good
drive their kids over from Greenville because Greenville charges and we don't.
Right.
They're gonna
Right.
go
No,
where
that's,
they go. So
that's a good. I
so-
appreciate you sharing that. It's good
and I
insight.
think the part of my thought in the whole thing was that there's a lot of things that have changed post pandemic because a lot of people's habits changed, their feelings changed about
Mm-hmm.
things. It takes a little kickstart to get some things, get people social again. more
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
think we've accomplished. It's the result was better than what I expected. actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Concession wise, I mean,
I was
it went like
I was
gangbusters.
optimistic, but it's better than I expected.
Yeah. So anyway, my apologies. I just again, when I say it's not about us. Wait till the guys are done down there.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. No, when I say it's not about us. It's about everybody in this community. We got some impassioned citizens I know here today too. They're examples of that. It's everybody doing their part and speaking their part. When I say speaking in the part, seeing the good in something, and if they've got a suggestion for something improvement, there's ways to convey that. You know, all you guys have kids, don't you? Or at least three. You all? Okay. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not going to lose my mind here. It would probably break their kid's heart if they did something and you said, well, that sucked. That was horrible. That was worthless. That would break their heart. And I think the same thing when anybody who's fixed a meal for a family and sit down and the kids complain about it, that seems to strike a nerve in the people who prepared the food. And not in a good way. And that's, I guess if you can relate to that, that's kind of what I'm conveying right now. So, okay. Department heads. We don't have any department heads, so Jan, do you have anything? Council members, Tito, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I had received a concern from a citizen about sidewalks. His suggestion is that we should prioritize repair of the sidewalks in areas where we have citizens that rely on wheelchairs to get around. In particular, he mentioned Division Street between Plum Street and Columbia. There are a couple blocks where he noticed a Union City resident in a wheelchair having to ride in the street because they consider those sidewalks too dangerous. So he asked her about that, and her answer was that she was afraid of flipping over because the sidewalks are just that bad. He's just in general wants the sidewalks, but he brought up that issue, and I thought that might be something to prioritize. He also noticed that the sidewalks on the south side of town need repair, and he mentioned South Street
Amen.
in particular. And last year we had discussed sidewalks near the area. I just remember this from last year or the year before. Near the area of the baseball diamonds, Maple Leaf Apartments, and the trailer park. Is that anywhere in our radar?
Yeah, for safety. In fact, yeah, go ahead, Steve.
We're applying for a Safe Street grant for $3 million. We're focusing on lighting and sidewalks in that grant and some speed control signs. That grant, I believe, is due to be turned in before the end of July. So the areas that we would be focusing on sidewalks would be areas of town that connect important points of our community that do not have sidewalks. So we would be connecting the shopping district on the north end to Plum Street and Howard Street, because the north ends of Plum and Howard don't have sidewalks. We would be connecting the ball diamonds, the trailer park, and Maple Leaf to for South Street, and we would be focusing on areas or corridors to get people to and from places like the school, shopping, downtown, the ballpark. We're looking at some things going to Harder Park, extending Division Street and Hickory Street so that there's sidewalks on the far west ends of both of those streets as well. The grant is $3 million. We would have a 20% match, so it's going to be a lofty grant for us, but we do believe that there is value in connecting those avenues or those points of interest or points of concern. But unfortunately, sidewalks are the property owner's responsibility, And those are, if they're in a state of disrepair, I think we've done 3 or 4 this summer where the city comes in, removes all the sidewalk, breaks it up, hauls it away, and all they have is the cost of pouring new sidewalks. So that is the plan that you guys have settled on. That's what we're doing. So we still encourage everybody to maintenance and maintain their sidewalks.
I know something that Greenville, yeah, so that is the property owner's responsibility, but that us preparing it for a new sidewalk is our pitch forward to help make it happen. The other consideration is what Greenville, I think Greenville did, but I'm not positive, where they offered to assess, on, or not assess, put on the property tax, correct?
Yeah, Greenville City pays for the sidewalk and they
I think we
assess the
brought that up
property tax.
before.
We have, and so that's a consideration that we haven't moved on, but I mean, if someone, because I know some people, it would be tough to bite that off, you know, immediately to repair or replace a
I think
sidewalk.
they're a little more forceful on this too, though.
Yeah, they are. They will
Yeah,
cite
they
people and
will
actually,
cite
they'll
you,
push it forward.
they'll
Yeah.
require.
Oh, wow.
And I think a lot of the ones that just repair are rental properties too.
Do what now? Sorry, what's that?
A lot of the sidewalks that are in need of repair are rental properties too.
Oh.
Now,
Yeah.
one thing I was a little bit intrigued about, I was in Tip City Friday for an event, and they have gone in and their uneven sidewalks, they have ground off the uneven edges so that they match up with the section of sidewalk that may be lower.
Uh-huh.
They've ground that off, and so that might be something we take a look at some of the corridors or some of the sidewalks. I know some of them, because of trees and things like that, are just way out of whack, and that wouldn't work, but there are some maintenance things I think could be done and managed as well.
Have we ever considered, you know, having a group of citizens that want to get their sidewalk replaced for, you know, this summer or something along those lines, where, you know, we can get some sort of discount from a contractor that could go through and do a bunch of sidewalks all at one time,
That's interesting.
rather than having each, you know, citizen go out and get their own contractor. There may be some savings to the individuals if they can do it that way.
If we've got
If we
a
can
couple
help
in the
coordinate
area,
that,
that
you
would be, yeah, that would be interesting, having that discussion. We can always pitch it, couldn't we? To at least pitch it to like EDC and a couple of the other contractors in the area that have done concrete work
Yeah.
and see what their thoughts would be. So if
Yeah.
it's something they'd be willing to entertain, then
The issue is just trying to be efficient
Right.
with the pour and working the concrete after they pour it.
Yeah.
If they're 20 blocks away from each job site, then that's going to be a problem
be a
for them
challenge,
to work
yeah.
the concrete as it cures and hardens. But I mean, I will do anything that you guys want done. We can definitely get a preferred rate from a contractor or two. We can, I mean, on the projects that we've done recently, we've used 6 different contractors, so they're all willing to help and do what we need to do or want them to do.
I'm just all for, you know, if a citizen or a group of citizens wants to replace their sidewalks, helping them how we can,
right.
you know, to get that done. I mean, some people, they just don't know what the steps are to get something like that
Right.
accomplished, and what the cost would be, and, you know, that type of thing.
And if we could somehow like focus on that little area, I mean, because that little segment I spoke about on Division Street between Columbia and Plum, that is on the way for a lot of people to go to school
Yeah.
and back, and you know we do have some disabled citizens who use wheelchairs there, so that'd be a great place to start if we're going to do this.
Well, one thing we definitely do, we can put in the water bill the next round about the reminder of the sidewalks. And then
Absolutely.
if we have a few, before that goes out, if we have a few contractors willing to step up and offer a group discount, we could at least put that in there. So, I mean, at least that's a start.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Rolling.
okay. Anything else?
Yeah, but I'll talk about it another time.
Okay. Tim?
I don't have anything.
Jason?
I had a great turnout for the Cars and Coffee this past Saturday. We had 19 vehicles show up. Big thank you to Hometown Coffee for always providing free coffee to everyone out there every month. And also big thanks to Roots Deli, Corner Cupboard, MJ Snack Shop, and Paint It Black for donating gift certificates.
Awesome.
We were to hand those out as prizes for different categories. So a big thank you to those businesses.
Fantastic. Man, I'm sorry I wasn't there. I would have wanted to see. I was in Tennessee, but I would love to see that.
Perfect,
Awesome.
beautiful day.
Oh, yes, it was gorgeous Saturday all across the Midwest. Seemed like. Bob.
Yeah, since the last meeting we had, I've had 2 complaints about speeding on Caroline Avenue, which is adjacent to Depot Avenue, which we had the discussion before. That they have their grandkids, and they like going across the street and playing with the neighbor kids. So they're concerned about the high-speed driving through there. And I told them I would bring it up, and hopefully maybe we get either some signage or, like slow children at play, or.
Is it? Well, is it one particular direction too, or is it neither? Is it both?
They didn't say.
Okay. And didn't note, is it one particular vehicle, or did it just?
Didn't go into detail.
Okay.
Just
If you
concerned.
could, if you could, we'll see what we do on our end with signage, but also if you could on your end, if you could have them note the vehicle, at least pay attention, because it might be this. If it's the same person, that helps us be a little bit more efficient.
Right.
And
I can do that.
that'd be awesome. Cool. Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, Brandon.
Yeah, just a couple of compliments really on the look of Pearl and Columbia Street here after the work has been done. With the new wall and just the change in the look of the dynamic of that port point in the downtown just looks totally different and totally for the better. Several compliments, like I said, on that. And then just a quick question about the, I guess it would be just north of the Hub City Finance Building, that open area, the community garden area. What are we doing with that? I guess what's going on there?
The outdoor markets, and we fashioned this after Rushville because they've had tremendous success with theirs. Now our second Saturday markets have done well, and so following that theme, having a space in there for outdoor vending, outdoor market, but would have a canopy over it.
Awesome.
So in the July and August, September, or even inclement weather, you're not getting hammered or fried. But we'd actually do a facade in the front, just a faux facade.
Okay.
Steve, I don't know if you have any details, but the facade would match the downtown buildings. One of the things that ail, and we've seen this unfortunately in our town, one of the things that ail small communities in the Midwest are what they call missing teeth. So your old downtowns where all the buildings were lined up, well, when there's buildings that are knocked down in small towns, a lot of times they don't get replaced. So you've got gaps here and there.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it starts to some are okay if you make use of the space, but after a while it starts to detract from your historic feel of the downtown. And so to fill in that spot, we would actually create almost like a Hollywood set, but behind would be the market. And on the front would say the marketplace or something like that on the front to invite folks in for outdoor vending. So that's the plan.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, that sounds like an excellent idea.
Yeah.
There's roughly room for 20 10 by 10 canopies in that space.
Oh wow.
10 on each side. We would run electric down the wall of both sides, and they would have access to power. Also, the parking lot behind the trees, ABM that you guys have green lighted, they're working on plans and have applied for a federally funded alternative fuel grant that would enable us to put asphalt down in that parking area, put lighting in that parking area, and get better practical use out of that parking lot area with an EV charging station in there. So all those things are in the works. I've got engineering being done now on the facade wall and the structure that would be behind the wall. I just don't have a lot of details. In the short term, we're just going to plant grass.
Okay.
So
I'm wondering just an idea with that open area there. It seemed, I don't know, just to me, right, because I used to be a vendor. I still kind of am. You have to have a facade kind of takes away, I think, the mystique and charm of an outdoor market. If we could find either not do it or some kind of partway thing that,
It would
someone
be,
who passes by.
That's a
and
great
says,
point. That's a great point. It's an open air, so there wouldn't be windows. There would be windows, but they'd be open. We could see into it. doorway would be large where you can move stuff in. So I mean, it would be highly visible, would it not, from the front? And we'll have renderings before anything would go up for you guys to take a look at.
I'm just waiting on all that to come back.
Yeah,
So once
so we
I
can
get
share
the
with you
plan,
guys.
we'll share it with everybody. I've just been working on creating the image.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but I mean, it's a great point. You don't want to shut off that,
Right.
but you want to invite them in,
Yeah.
and so it's got to be something of intrigue. So
May I say something about that? Because I work for Watson's, and
Yes,
Watson's
you would.
takes flowers up there. If you would enclose that the way you're talking about, like my buggy, and you've been to my buggy on South, I would not be able to get in there.
that's why we talked about being big enough where you could get in there. You could pull a car in there, and yeah.
You know, you
Back-
get old granny here who can't drive with that.
And you'll have a back entrance too.
Yeah, you know, I'm just saying, there might be some problems.
Yeah. No, good heads up though. So, any other things, Brandon?
No, that's all I had.
No, thank you. All right. And of course, the summer vacation, our student reps out. Steve, anything?
I've already said too much.
Okay. Old business. We have the water purchase agreement with Union City, Ohio.
Yeah, that's just on there. I go back in there, I had it there last month also, but talked to Steve a little bit about it, and would like to suggest or get council's approval for Steve to go ahead and look into negotiating that contract with the Ohio side. And it
So-
doesn't due till October,
Okay.
so we've got time.
So,
I guess I would ask, I mean, what room for negotiation do we have? It says no less than 2% and no more than 2%.
Well, that's a past one, like.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay,
That's-
so we would be redoing.
Yeah, because this contract is up.
Completely renegotiate the contract.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
I would be all for that.
Yeah.
I think-
Unless some of you guys wanted to do it. I mean, if
Yeah,
you
we-
guys wanted to.
Jan and I discussed me doing it, but I would rather you guys have those conversations over me, but you guys just need to tell us how to proceed, because we don't want to
Somebody
miss
needs
the
to take-
October date.
Somebody needs to take charge with it, I guess, is what I'm saying.
what are you guys' thoughts?
I thought it all looked reasonable. I mean, I think what maybe the question we need to ask is, what, if anything, do we think should be changed? I kind of liked it all, except that the date is passed, right?
Right.
So we need to redo it. But you know, I don't know.
Yeah, because you definitely, I mean, putting ourselves in their shoes, you wouldn't want to have the fear of being socked with a tremendous increase. Like if all of a sudden we could raise it, if the language said we could raise it 5 or 10%, I don't think that would go over real well.
So I guess I mean, unless there's ideas or things that are concerns for us, how we might want to change it. For me, it looks awesome, including all the wherefores and therefore and whereby and what ifs and all these things. I mean, they really did a good job with the due diligence and everything. But what does the Ohio side think? Is the only thing, unless there's something here we want to consider first. That's the next step.
That's part of the problem. We need to present it to them, because we can't answer that question.
Okay.
But you guys either have to do it, or you have to have me do it, one or the other,
or a combination.
or a combination.
Combination.
Right.
Come on, Bob.
So we need a motion for that, or?
Well, a general consensus, if you want Steve to enter into that, or if a council member would like to step up and
I'll
tag team.
say, I'd be willing to work with this, but I'd prefer to, like, in this case, work with Steve on it and potentially another council member if we need more than one, but two's gonna be our limit
Right.
at that
Right.
point,
Right.
but I'd be willing to work with that.
Okay. Do you have another council member willing to
I'm
team
willing
up?
to help out.
Okay, super. All right. Well, do we have a consensus
That
for
would work for you, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely.
Brandon? What are your thoughts?
You good?
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Tito,
good.
you good with that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, again, that's what we'll do then.
So Jason and Tim are gonna work
Yeah.
with Steve.
Correct. And negotiate with the Ohio side. Excuse me. All righty. New business. Maybe. Payment of the BCA invoices for the Blights project. And speaking of what was mentioned earlier with the work that was done on the corner here and up at on Oak. What we're looking at here is an invoice for the work completed.
I don't remember seeing anything.
I was gonna say I don't have an
in the
invoice
packet.
in here. Though.
It's not in the packet.
I don't have it in here.
No, it's not in there.
It might be in, I don't think there's invoices in there. I think it was, I know that it's around, oh, I know what, it's around 147,000 total outstanding invoices for VCA.
Okay.
There's a whole list of them, because we haven't been paying VCA since we fired Door,
Right. Right.
because we didn't know how the money was gonna come out.
Right.
So we gotta do something, because we may not get a settlement for a while, and VCA can't just not have any money.
Right. So the money that we're expecting from the settlement, from the bond in terminating Door is not available to us yet. But yet we've got a contractor who's come in and done the work as was agreed upon.
And quickly and well.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Sure.
So I guess, I just wanted to make council aware of the fact that there is 147. That's what it is right now. It's not totally closed out. But there will need to be an additional appropriation done so that we can pay those, so.
Question: what does that 147 compare to with regards to like what is left over from the grant and that we might win back in a?
I can directly answer that.
Okay.
It's simple, not in details. That's going to be a bigger question. But Door has processed one pay claim. We have encouraged them multiple times to process the second pay claim, which would lead up to their termination. ADC Concrete was the second contractor that was hired to complete the project. They have submitted their pay claim. We have processed that through the grant. That pretty much taps out the grant. Not completely. We still will owe Door some money because they're refusing to fill out their second pay claim. And we owe BCA, which is the engineering firm that did the specs and has managed the project start to finish. So all of the balance of that money theoretically is going to come from the performance bond once that's been awarded by Door's insurance company. The issue is BCA would like to be paid because they have been here literally multiple days every week. They've been managing both Door and ADC. They've written their responses to the legal drafts. They've done all of this work, and we just need to get them paid, cleaned up, and then we're going to be waiting for our money through the performance and the payment bond.
So what would you suggest? Approve additional appropriation or what? Because we got
I will bring the additional appropriation forward. I just wanted to make them aware that that's what I was going to be doing.
Okay.
And so they're prepared for that when I present it, that they're not like, oh, what is this all
Right.
about? You know?
Okay. So at the next meeting, this is what we'll have. Okay. Okay.
So it's something that we're like, if we had done it all, it would have been within the grant.
Correct.
Correct.
We're going to get some of the money back, but not all of it. And we're forward funding
We
because
hope to be 100% whole when this thing
Oh.
is done.
Yeah.
We chose with BCA's conversation when we terminated Door, we chose not to keep paying BCA because we didn't know where things were going to go. Now the project's done, the second contractor's, he's got to put caps on this roof and we're done. So now that it's done, they're like, we would really like to be made whole, so, or at least get a big chunk of our money as we're getting ready to theoretically go into litigation and argue with an insurance company. So that's what Jan's asking for, is let's make them whole and let's keep moving.
To me, it's about Union City meeting its obligations,
Correct.
and we want to be a good customer.
Correct.
Right, to companies like this, sometimes we have things to do, and people leave. So we've had that issue, not being able to get contractors to do things that we need done, and this one did it well. So I think we should pay.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. So the June 26th meeting, that's what we'll have on the new business. You came. Steve, I don't know if there's anything you want to add here. My pitch basically to council is we didn't really support of any significance last year, correct?
Just basically the fiestas, we were winding things down.
Okay. So we've not made any financial commitment to UCAME this year, and we were kind of light in the last couple of years. And the concert series, the fiesta,
The rodeo.
the rodeos, all that stuff comes out of this budget. And for the city, in my estimation, it's right for the city to be a player in this to some degree. And so because most of their money comes from donations from the companies in the area. So my pitch to council is I'd like to see you guys commit the remaining ARP funds because it would be an allowable use of this. There's $19,000 and change in the ARP funds, which was not money that was originally in our budget to begin with, but still we want to have a noteworthy use for it. And so my pitch is to council to commit those remaining funds to UCAME to support the fiesta, the concert series, and the rodeos at the park. So
What is UCAME?
yeah, Union City Arts, Music, and Entertainment. Sorry. I'm sorry.
And wasn't there like a big negotiation in Congress and between the president and the Speaker of the House about, and what is it? One of those requirements to recall unused art.
Yeah. So use it now or lose it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, any discussion or questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Perfect. I think it makes sense.
I'll make the motion that we dedicate the remainder of ARP funds to UCANE for these said purposes.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you. Lastly, on new business, ordinance 2023-09, which is the ordinance amending Chapter 94 of the Codified Ordinances of Union City. This is referring to the noise ordinance. This is on the first reading. This is the ordinance that was taken out of Bern, Indiana. So not reinventing the wheel. Actually suggested by a citizen that has voiced noise concerns, suggested this ordinance. So our attorney reviewed it. I trust you guys have had a chance to review it. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. I wanted to call your attention to line 1B9. It's on, I think, the second page. And 9. It's number 9 there.
Okay.
So let me see where the beginning of the section is. So the following are exempted from the provisions of this section. That's B. And when you go down to 9, it says, sounds associated with a normal conduct of legally established non-transient businesses, organizations, and governmental entities, when such sounds are customary, incidental, and within the normal range appropriate for such use. So, what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about when businesses are adjacent to a residential area. Do we want to have diesel engines going all night?
Do we have that?
The potential exists. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want to live
Right.
really near or a couple houses or even right next door to a place that, it's a thriving business and we love that. But, they're shipping things out because they're producing things. And, I mean, I used to work at Applegate and I know those diesel engines ran all the time and they were loud and obnoxious. And I'm glad that they were far away from my house.
Yeah.
So just saying,
No, that's-
I'm sure, I don't know if I'm sure I've heard people say things like this, and I just haven't had contacted them for this particular
Right.
issue, but I would love something like that, referring to diesel engines in particular, be included, unless it's somewhere else in the ordinances and I didn't see it.
You guys' thoughts?
I think specifically doing that with diesel engines on existing properties that are going to be affected is probably going to be problematic. Specifically about diesel engines. I mean, you're building a $13 million nursing home down the street that is going to have semis backing in and out, backup alarms. It's going to be during the course of normal business, but that's going to be imperative for the operation of that business. That's a change to their business. I get it, those people have lived there forever, those homes have been there forever, but that business, after investing $13 million in this community, is going to have to work out of semis. People on Pearl Street work out of semis, and those residents in that area are accustomed to that routine.
What I'm referring to is just like overnight, like when the business is not even open, and I mean, because you go to these you know on the what do you call it, the freeways and the interstates, and you go to a place where all those diesel engines are on and running, even though they're asleep.
I understand that, but in my 3 years in the city manager's office as assistant and city manager, I've not had that complaint, so I don't know where that would be coming from. Pearl Street is an industrial area that there are some houses on. There's lots of semis there, and there's going to be semis at the tubing mill. There's residential immediately behind that. There's going to be semis at Y Supply on occasion. There's going to be semis at the nursing home on occasion. Dollar General.
But they're not overnight.
Theoretically, no, they're not overnight. So I don't see where that comes into conversation. But I mean, it's your guys' ordinance. I just copied and pasted and put it in ordinance form.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put it on the spot. I don't know if it's necessary, but I just feel like it's better to prevent, right? Because I mean, we've had some citizens in here complaining about a particular business in the north side of town about different, and they use semis, and that's all well and good. They haven't had their diesel engines on all night, but I promise you, the moment they do, we will hear about it.
Well, a couple of points. One, the violation, you have at a level more than 55 decibels for a period of 5 minutes within any 30-minute period between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. So with that,
That might cover it.
with that 5 minutes, that generally is going to cover most of those circumstances. The places you get some noise like this from businesses like, say, Frank Miller Lumber's debarker. Now, you can hear, like Bob, you can hear Frank Miller's debarker from your house,
Absolutely.
but it won't rise to the decibel level that'll ever come close to a violation.
No.
And nobody that lives in the city is going to be close enough to it to rise to that level. And so my view of something like this is, if that becomes a problem, we can amend this. If there's such a problem that really were to create something that you wanted to address, it can always be amended.
Good point.
But at this point, I don't see any circumstances that's going to.
I mean, it specifically lays out in Part A here. I mean, no person shall play, use, or operate any machine, motor vehicle, device, or thing that produces or reproduces sound, so on and so forth. I mean, a diesel engine is included in there as a machine or motor vehicle.
Okay.
So like if a truck pulls up to a business that's making a delivery and they show up at 2 in the morning and they sit there with an engine running and it's loud, they're sitting on the street, they're not part of normal business.
So that should be
They're
a
sitting on the
citation.
street.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
and they could potentially be in violation of this without having anything to do with the
Correct.
business.
That's
That's
what
true.
should happen. You should call 911 and
Right.
the cops
Right,
should issue
right.
a citation.
It's not,
Okay.
so I get your concern, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's gonna present a problem. And like I say, if we find a,
Well, I think it's covered here. I mean,
Okay.
if we find it's something that has to be tweaked, we can amend
yeah, I agree with that.
as a whole.
Good call out then. All right. Any other questions or comments?
Nope.
If not, do you feel like you have enough to make a motion?
Yes, I'll move we accept ordinance number 2023-09, ordinance amending chapter 94 of the codified ordinances of Union City by title only on first reading.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Jan, if you would roll call vote?
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Lay.
Yes.
Jason Brewer,
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, I have one more thing for new business.
Yes.
Okay, so, I need to know what you guys, let me start over. I would like to ask you guys to consider changing our open container policy and our ordinance pertaining to such. So we have a specific open container rule for Artisan Crossing immediately behind us. We have done some experimenting, some playing around with, what exactly it looks like in our community to have some open container events. We have had little to zero issues from law enforcement's perspective. For the most part, it's been navigated, appropriately. Everything's ran pretty smoothly. We were going to look at creating or modifying our ordinance when last Thursday I found out that the state of Indiana did all the work for us. And with Senate Bill 20, they created the DORA rule, like many other states around us already have in place. Indiana's last to the table, but they have created it. So what we would like to do and what we would like to look at doing is basically creating a geographical location, a DORA, which stands for Designated Outdoor Refreshment Area, and basically allow open container within that DORA district. Now what that does is that it allows you to go to Lou's Tacos and buy a Corona and a couple tacos and go out to the picnic area and have your dinner. That allows you to walk around the car show or, downtown shopping days or something like that and have an adult beverage. You still have to meet all the regular requirements. You gotta be 21, all the rules apply, but it just allows you to have it outside while you're participating in an outdoor city sanctioned event. With that, we've had great success with the rodeo and with the fireworks, offering beer and wine as an option. And we would also want to amend that ordinance at the same time to formally allow it in Harder Park. But it's obviously your guys' decision. I have all the rules. If you're interested in looking at it, I'll prepare the ordinance. We'll create what the district should be. We can have those conversations at the next meeting. The DORA law was passed on February 23rd of this year, and it takes effect July 1st. None of our local establishments had any idea that they had passed that, but they were all fairly excited that they did pass it.
Sounds good to me.
So, that's all I got. If you're interested, I need to know so I can get everything
I
prepared.
know exactly what you're talking about, so. The Banks area in Cincinnati is like that, where you can walk up and down.
Yeah, the state of Ohio's offered the DORA program for about the last 4 years. They passed it just before COVID happened. It obviously saved a lot of, businesses in their downtowns because you could go outside with your drink, you could go outside with your food and eat and socially distance. So there are those advantages to it. We are looking at the marketplace. We are building a pavilion. We do have the closed alleyway, so we're creating more place in our downtown for people to to gather and congregate. So it does make sense to, help facilitate that process. There are some ideas for marketing and promotion where maybe our licensed vendors would, all use a common cup, put the city flag on a cup, so you can have open container, but it's got to be in a city cup, and we can do some marketing and promotion that way for our community. I've also reached out to Chief Ader about looking at potentially extending it into Ohio, so for their car show, Heritage Days and things like that, they can offer the same thing. So if you guys want me to pursue that, I would like to have it ready to be voted on at the next meeting.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I really. Like
I literally
that
had
about the
someone
cup, too.
suggest something like that.
I know it was an issue.
We were going to create and make a modification to the ordinance. That's what I was presenting. Jan went to a clerk treasurer meeting, and she asked me walking down the hallway, would we ever need anything that's new and about drinking alcohol outside? And I'm like, yes. And now we don't have to create a whole new ordinance because the state's already passed the law.
It's just a matter of designating the areas.
We have to formally designate the area. We have to amend our open container ordinance in talking to our establishments, putting a timeline on it saying, like noon to 10 p.m. or something like that, where the open container goes away after 10. Those kind of things. We have to make some signage to designate where the door starts and stops. And then if we go down Pearl Street, we're going to have to get some special permissions because we do have 2 local churches on Pearl Street. We may not be able to go down there. If they object, we can't push the issue. But it would be on Columbia back to Howard would be the primary focus of the door. Basically from the Elks Club down to the railroad over to Howard. And then after we meet with the churches, possibly down Pearl Street to join up with the Ohio side.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Visitors wishing to address the board, if you would, please stand, state your name and address and the nature of your business. Each person will have 3 minutes.
My name is Jeannie Collins. I live at 336 South Columbia Street for 71 years. I know how to cuss. My father was a truck driver. I worked at a factory and told men that their product was not up to quality standards. Trust me, I know how to cuss. But I also know that it's offensive and that you might not like it, you might really be offended, and you really don't care. But maybe my heart says, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to watch children listen to that, be raised with words that I wouldn't even say. And I parked on purpose out in front where I'm not supposed to, because I live with people open burning, don't have any water, they use the bathroom outside, they cuss and carry on like anything I have never heard ever in my life.
What address is this?
This is at 323 South Columbia. There is an open ditch that you could fall in and we would never get you out. Children running, 7 dogs, no food, no water, constantly barking. The police have been down there, and I can tell you it's almost every night. That's using our facilities when somebody else may really need them, because these people do not have enough common sense to behave like human beings. The ambulance has been there. What if it was my heart attack? And it was, maybe. That they're somewhere because somebody pulled a knife and I die because they're at some idiot's house. I'm sorry. They have no water. They don't know that they can't have open fires because they don't get a water bill. I'm telling you, it's everything I can do Our quality of life is gone down there. I live on South, and I realize that's not anybody's concern because it's south of town. It's not where people live. It's where people live. There are good people down there. There are people trying to make things better. What do we do? What help? I know you're not the police. I know, but we need help. This is horrible. Those poor children, those poor children don't have any idea that when they talk, that they're offensive, because that's all they ever hear. They hear a dirty word before their name when they're talked to outside. And they're always outside. I have a picture of their dog hanging out an upstairs window on top of an air conditioner on a second story. I have that picture.
Could you please send that to us? Or take a photo of it and send it? Okay, thank you.
It's horrible. I cannot tell you how horrible it is. My quality of life, Sue's quality of life, the people beside them, we've been threatened. I'm telling you, I cannot express, and I have offered. I want to be part of the solution. I have offered the police to park on my property, on the state line, and walk through and see it for themselves. Not what I saw, not what you saw, that they saw it for themselves. Because sure, when they pull up, they quit. We're talking women having fist fights, pulling hair of all kinds in any region on your body on the street. Would you like to live next door to that or across the street? And so if my golf cart is offensive because I pulled a half a block up, take a list and see how offensive where I live is. Two older gentlemen that I live right next door to, our houses are 3 feet apart, said, it's my house. I will rent to anyone I want to. I don't have to have an inspection. They built, and I have pictures of this, a stairway that is not in code.
What's this? Is this still 323?
No, this is
Okay.
at 340.
Okay, let's hold on. Let's one subject at a time. Do we have any
Well,
other?
I only have 3 minutes.
Well, okay, yeah, the 3 minutes have lapsed. What's
I'm
the
sorry.
other address between? No, it's okay. What's the other? Is there another address beyond 323 and 340?
No, there's
Okay.
2 horrid offenses.
Do we know? Do we have the same situation at 340? Or
Yes.
very similar? Okay.
Well, no fighting.
Well,
No
they don't-
fighting, but
Well, they're moving people in that have been known to fight a lot.
okay. Do we know if Child Protective Services has been called on this
Yes,
by
we do.
chance?
All the time.
All the time. Okay.
For
Do-
many years.
Well, but this family is.
Absolutely.
But they were called on Howard Street to the same outfit.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Can I say something about that?
Yes.
The child cried because Child Services didn't take her, that left her on the property. The child wanted to go. I am afraid. I don't want to be afraid, and I'm not going to let them make me afraid.
No, please don't.
But do you think these people would hurt me? Oh, yes, they would. They threatened me this evening because I took a picture of the open fire. I
Okay.
can't tell you where they wanted to put my camera. Okay?
Thank
This
you.
is horrible. It is.
It's
I
unacceptable.
understand you're not the police, but if I don't come up and tell you that things are getting worse and worse and worse, you don't know.
Right.
And I haven't done my job as a citizen. But I also feel like I should have, and my neighbors should have some quality of life, some peace, be able to sit out on your porch, be able to work in your flower bed. I cannot do that.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you. We need to get with Ryan tomorrow and see what leverage we have in the condemnation process. Because this is a flat out nuisance through and through.
720.
I know the fiasco in Howard.
726 North Howard was condemned by us.
Yep.
It was condemned by us the second time because they were squatting, never paid a dime of rent. Then it was condemned by the Randolph County Health Department, and they were ordered to vacate, which they ignored. And there's nothing else that can be done.
At what point, here's where I need to talk with Ryan, at what point, if the health department has condemned and ordered vacate, at what point can it be
It's up
police
to the-
ordered?
It's up to the health department to force it, and they walked away from it. Because you're displacing a family of 9 children.
Well, man.
And it's not going to get better at the next place they land.
No.
Because all we did was
Push the problem somewhere else.
push the problem from 726
Yeah.
to 323.
Yeah. Do we have any word from CPS? Would Lance have any insight from CPS as to why they have not moved more aggressively on this? Don't know for sure.
I mean, we can ask that question. I mean, I've taken a phone call from the principal at the elementary school about their house having no water. Has no water because it has no lateral connection. That's what the trench is. They're trying to install their own lateral connection. That's what that is. We can't put water in the house until there's a way for it to leave. At 726, their lateral failed, wouldn't pump sewage out, so they decided to hotwire the system and pump raw sewage out into the alleyway. Then we had to fix it because they were discharging sewage into the alleyway. We had no option. We have an option at 323 because we've never turned their water on because they can't pass a lateral inspection.
This is deplorable. And I'm putting it mildly, because I know everything you said is probably a fraction of how bad it is when it's outside your door.
You're right.
So
And we do know how bad it is. We're down there every day. But we have been dealing with these people for 3 years.
but when's it get to be enough? Okay. I'm going to meet with Ryan tomorrow. And I need you to have Eric reach out to CPS and have him submit any and all reports they can to him of this family.
That's a lot of paper.
At least the most recent, but certainly a rundown of the cases. Because you know what's disturbing in all this? This reminds me of the person who goes out and commits a heinous crime, and they've got this track record of all the things, and people always look at that situation. It's like, well, why didn't they ever go back and do something here until it just kept happening? And that's this. And the kids' ranges of age are probably, what are we talking, toddler to, what's the youngest? Would you speculate the youngest to be?
13, 14.
No,
Is the youngest?
No, they've got younger.
Oh, that's the oldest.
That's the oldest.
Are there any diapers or just out of diapers?
Yes.
Good
yes.
Lord. Okay.
And now they've moved in another family living in a tent in the back beyond the ones that were living there.
Yeah, that's,
It's just.
yeah, it's
And
infuriating.
I'm sorry I called them a bad name, but I have worse.
Well, yeah. Okay, I will meet with Ryan and then have Eric not only reach out to CPS, but we would have him reach out to the health department. And
I will call the health department.
Thank
I have
you.
his contacts, but I've already sent the message to Eric and Lance.
Thank you. Okay.
There's also like social services, like maybe they need some, I don't know, some support somehow or things.
They need a prosecutor. That's it. That's all you need.
They probably already have all this dispensing,
I mean, I've had it.
sell it.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to address the council?
Hi, Lisa Hahn, I live somewhere down on Hickory Street. My problems can't be half as bad as hers, but to me it's disgusting that any of this happens. I've been here since 2005. And the shooting on Chatham has me a little bit unnerved. I have kids in my house right around the corner. 3 of them are his grandchildren. And when you have a shooting of this magnitude right around the corner, you want to move. I'm ready to move.
What was the
This is not Fort Wayne, it's not Gary, it's not.
It's at what?
It's at
On
317
Chatham.
Chatham.
Everybody knows about it.
317 Chatham.
Everybody
It's
knows
the
about
one that
it.
reported with the vehicles in
Yes.
the.
Yes.
And they're
Okay.
still there.
Not only that, but we have a person driving, I would say, if I had
Why?
to guess, 50, 60 miles an hour down Hickory Street.
Oh, good grief.
And that's
Hickory Street, where there are tons of kids up and down Hickory Street. Steve, you drive up and down that road in your golf cart, but nobody can seem to catch this person.
And they reside at 317 Chatham,
this
we
is-
believe.
This is
Or they're connected in some way, shape, or form to
Some
the
way
address.
all this is connected.
It's a gold older car and a silver car.
But it's a thing of, when is this crack gonna stop? Because they're going down the wrong way on Hickory Street, flipping me off, whatever, I don't care.
Is it Dodge, Ford, Chevy? Do we know any of the make, model?
I'll give you the name off of the camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
But almost every house has children. And one of them's gonna be killed, I guarantee you. But it's not gonna be any of that I take care of, I guarantee you that. But it needs to stop. And what somebody said about going around D-Bolt and
Caroline.
It's the same person.
It's the same
He has
person.
his route. I watch it all the
Ah,
time.
so, okay.
I fielded a complaint about Division Street this weekend also,
It's
so I'm.
everywhere.
So we're confident this is the same Joker.
Yes. And, everybody's afraid of him. I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
But when I have to watch out for the kids I take care of and everybody down the road, that's when I get mad. I'm not a complainer. I look at union city discussion crap. They come after you. They come after you. All of you. And it's unnecessary. Why don't you bring your butts up here and face the people that are trying to run our city or trying to make it better? I mean, if you look at downtown, this is amazing. But when you look in the neighborhood, her neighborhood,
It's not good.
in my neighborhood, she's been there longer than I have. She lives next door to where the shooting happened. She has kids sleeping in there, for God's sakes. What are we gonna do? I call the cops, nothing, and he always seems to know who calls the cops because then he comes after us.
Yes. The retribution
And
is
I'm
horrible.
not dealing with it. I mean, it's ridiculous. And it's been going on for a couple of years, and it's getting worse and worse. And I'm guaranteeing you, every house down by me from Harder Park, look at the kids that walk down Hickory Street to get to the pool that you guys can make free, and it's wonderful. But we have tons of kids, and he does not care.
Is this gentleman from Fort Recovery?
He's from town.
Yeah, he should be in jail.
The one from Fort Recovery that did the shooting, it was
We don't know if nobody knows if there's a connection besides the police.
a
But
stand.
what I'm saying is now, he's driving down Chatham, wrong way down Hickory, flying around corners going on 2 wheels, down Jackson Street, and down turner, and then makes his way around town, over to Debo, everywhere. Why?
And the one from Fort Recovery
And there's
just got out
never
of
a cop
jail.
inside.
He just got out of jail from Dark County for having a disability firearms on him. And now he has firearms right next door to me. And I had to go out and sweep up their beer bottles just this past weekend. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I picked them up and threw them at their cars, because them cars are being brought in on flatbed trucks. They have Ohio plates on them. They don't run, and they've been there since before the 25th. And
looks like a
they're
junkyard.
junkers.
You guys are trying to clean up the city, we're trying to clean up our neighborhoods, and we get crap like that in here.
That's unacceptable.
We don't complain, we don't get in anybody else's business, we're trying to live a life.
Right.
And then you got trash moving in like that.
I
And
don't
trash
know if
moving
it's
next to
safe to
her.
work in our yards because
Yeah,
we got these people next door to us that are obviously not afraid of guns because they just got out of jail for shootings. And now we're up at 1 o'clock in the morning because the cops are all over our neighborhood telling us, get back in your house. There's shootings. Well, and then I'm told to call the cops to tell them about the flatbed trucks parked all over the road. And the cops come, I will say they are driving through there now, but they drive right past the flatbed trucks and keep going. Why should I call them if they can see them? Stop and tell them to move it. I have.
Okay.
But we're very frustrated down there.
Should be.
We have neighbors that have junk all over their porches. Marks has a video of the shooting.
He does.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Cops have it.
Okay.
And why ain't this man in jail?
Well, I
know there's a process.
yeah, I was just say, the innocent people are glad that people just can't show up and arrest them on the spot without having something in form of evidence. So, I mean, but yeah.
everybody, it seems like everybody just wants to hide under a rock and maybe it'll go away.
No, and I promise you that's not the case, and I can't thank you for enough for being up here, because none of us up here want to live with that. We wouldn't be doing our jobs if we thought that was permissible. We wouldn't want to be living here if we thought that was permissible.
My husband just had a heart attack on April 14th, and I got a shooting next door.
Yeah.
And when we're both at work, I have 2 disabled adult kids in my house that I have to, are they okay? Are they getting shot at? Or the neighbors doing now? We get one bad neighbor after another. The house needs torn down.
We've had to form our own neighborhood watch because we are so scared. Why should we be scared in Union City?
Right.
I mean, I lived in Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne's getting to be, but it wasn't around the corner.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And it just shouldn't be taken lightly because somebody is going to get hurt. A child is going to get run over. Somebody's going to get shot, and it's just ridiculous.
I agree.
And if more people would come to these meetings and express it instead of griping on Facebook and totally making, I'm sorry, butts of you guys, if everybody would band together and work together and come together and put God behind us, maybe we could do something. I just don't get it. I'm so frustrated. You know, and then you have, on top of all that crap, you have all these mean dogs running around. We don't have, I don't know even what we have anymore. I know one time I took my border collie who does not care about another human. All they wanted was the ball. And I got cited for that. But you have mean dogs running everywhere.
The same neighbor has
in the same neighborhood, yes. And they're coming up to kids. They're jumping other people's properties to get other dogs.
And this is on 317 Chatham that has dogs running amok.
317 has a pit.
Yeah.
That's running loose.
But there's
That
one
runs.
on Hickory, and I don't know the address on that one, but the dog runs loose. To the best of my knowledge, dogs can't run loose.
No, they're not supposed to.
Am I right?
Could you give me the address to the one on Hickory, please, offline?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you both. Okay. That, like I said, it's not acceptable.
I come from
What-
a small town way over by the Illinois border.
Mhm.
It's small just like this. They don't have shootings.
Well, we
Yes.
don't normally have shootings either.
I understand.
Okay, I've lived here for 50 years.
But I understand
So,
that.
I
But
know.
it started.
I know. And
Just
but
like you said, it keeps rolling down.
right, and one thing I don't want us to lose sight of. I don't want us to lose our. Everything you're dealing with is wrong, and you shouldn't have to deal with it. Not a day. But at the same time, I also don't want us to lose our heads and think everybody in the town is shooting guns up in the air and wielding pistols. And I don't. I want us to keep perspective, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the fact you formed a neighborhood watch, it's a shame why you had to do it, but I'm glad you did it, and you shouldn't have to take this to do that. I'd rather see more neighborhoods bond together like yours did, because I
They
would.
really need help though with it.
I agree. Yes, but believe you me,
Because when it comes to people driving 50, 60 miles an hour.
yeah,
down the
that's
road,
unacceptable.
I mean,
And a gun, and yes,
If
it
he
was
does not
isolated
stop.
case. No, he
Uh,
doesn't stop at any
okay.
stop signs.
All right. Well, I need the address from Hickory, and I need the make offline. So,
Is this
Um,
a gray and white pit bull?
It's a big brown one.
Big brown one, brownish.
Because we've had a gray and white one and we've tracked it down. It's actually
He
on
was-
the high side.
Actually, on Facebook, just the other day where somebody took him. I don't think that one's mean, but he's still.
but he still can't run loose. I don't care if he's nice or not. He can't run loose.
I mean, 'cause
Yeah.
I got dogs in the,
So,
And they can go from calm to vicious and
yes.
Bob, do you have anything that you need to? Sure.
I'm not gonna complain about my raccoons and possums across the street. With these folks, no, I'll take care of my own.
All right. Well, next council meeting, and we've got a litany of things to address now. So,
Which I will say, you guys are doing wonderful up here.
well, if you can't tell, it's spinning plates when you're in this role. It's spinning plates.
And we know that your hands are full, but we need some help down there
Yeah,
not in
you
the
do,
town.
and rightfully so.
I will say one thing. There's been more done in this downtown community in the last 3-4 years than in the 25 before. Now, there was a lot of groundwork laid in earlier administrations, but it's happening now. And we should not let crap like this set us back.
Right. Agreed.
There are a lot of us that have invested time, energy, and money into making this a community that we want people to come into. And we must do something. I've never heard of crap like this.
Yeah.
Well, I knew about the one up on Howard Street, but I didn't realize that we simply caused them to move to another. Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm serious, if we don't get a prosecutor that will actually prosecute these cases and put people in jail, we're gonna keep, our police are being frustrated. And we've got, and I think that's where you come in, Mayor, is to go over and pound the table a little. That when we bring them a case, if our police bring them a case prosecuted, let's.
Agreed.
I'd like to see some of these people go to jail.
You and me both.
And
Yeah.
this,
Agreed.
I don't want to see us go backwards, and this sort of thing can start to nudge us in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And you all know just how hard people have been working to make this town a place that we want to attract good people.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, the date of our next city council meeting is going to be Monday, June 26th, Freudian slip, at 6 p.m. Board of Works will be also Monday, June 26th at 1 p.m. I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
First, we have a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.